You have this incredible ability to say something nice and you think is friendly and nice and just kills me inside. It's like when I buy something and I come home and I'm excited, right? And I'm like, hey, this the men's clothing store that I like only has one sale a year. Yeah. So I'll go to the sale and I come home and I'm like, oh my God, I bought some great stuff. And I'm like a girl on TikTok giving you, what do they call it? The haul. They're showing what they got.
The shopping haul.
Yeah. So I come home, it's like I do this once a year and I'm so excited. And I go, guess how much this is? And I hold it up and you go, $40. And I go, no, it was way more than $40. All right. So last episode we started with, some of us started with a little moment of silence and a remembrance for Scale, almost named Head. And
also referred to as Head the Fish.
Yeah. So we watched that podcast together last night. You looked at me and said, Scale's still here. And I said, what do you mean? And Scale was still in Olivia's room. I offered so many times to flush him.
No, you didn't. You offered to flush him before he was dead.
That is true.
Before he was dead. That was a no-no. We couldn't do that. So then he died, and the only times I would remember to do it was putting kids in bed. And anyone who has kids knows that that is a marathon that you are running at night.
How long did Scale stay in his fish tank while not with us?
I'm not sure. The time of death is kind of iffy, so we're not really sure. But it was longer than it should have been. It was long enough that he wasn't floating anymore. It was not great. So I did flush him last night. I said a couple of words to him.
Ooh, what'd you say?
Bye, Scale.
Oh, God. Okay.
Actually, I said, please, God, let us do better next time for Olivia's sake.
We got a good comment last night.
Okay. On one of the podcasts?
Yeah, we got a good comment last night. Okay. It says, it's about the homeschooling one from a couple episodes ago.
Oh, yes.
It says, Ashley, thank you for defending homeschooling. I grew up homeschooled, and it was great for me. I did great in college. I do well with people, and I'm in a successful career. And it goes on to talk about how great he is. And then he says, Mike, I appreciate you acknowledge that you know little about homeschooling.
You did? That's fair.
You seem way too passionate in your dislike of it, considering how uninformed you are about how it could be done well, or to put it in a way that I think you would enjoy more. Stop being a jerk about this. You sound like an idiot.
That's my new favorite line. Stop being a jerk. You sound like an idiot. Next time we're fighting, that's what I'm going to say.
So what I want to say to that person is, homeschooling's so weird, even the weirdos think it's weird. That's what I have to say to that.
No. Yeah. I think that comment was perfect. That person was able to say how they felt.
Sounds like a homeschooler to me.
And they did it in a way that was funny and respectful.
I'd prefer just like a fuck you, Mike.
I wouldn't.
But just because you came out of the weirdo-ness, at best, not as weird as everyone else, doesn't mean that it's still not fucking weird.
Every child is different. I will stand by that.
Well, we're going through a little bit of a school thing right now. I'll preface this because I'm not allowed to say what I really think yet.
Yeah.
So for all you people who think we're stuck-up snobs, our kids go to public school. And that has always been our plan. But for a lot of reasons, we are investigating private school. And this process, nonsense.
Well,
this
to piggyback on that.
Nonsense. That's apparently all I'm allowed to say negative about the process so far, because we haven't gotten in anywhere.
Okay, so let's preface this. I was a public school teacher. I've also taught at private school, but I was a public school teacher for probably 12, 13 years. We are looking at a private school because, like I've said before, every child is different. Charlie is our oldest, and she is shy. She's kind of come out of her shell this year from doing...
Still shy.
Yes, but she's still shy. She's very reserved. She's a rule follower. And she learns best in a smaller environment. Not smaller as in homeschool. Not smaller in like a cohort homeschool. But in a smaller environment, like instead of having 1,000 kids per grade level, maybe having 100 kids. That's why we're looking at private school. I think if Olivia, who is our 7-year-old, if she was older... she would go to public school, she would be fine because her personality and her needs are much different than Charlie's.
Did you just say all this so people don't think that we're jerks, stuck up?
No, I think it backs what we say, that you have to do what's best for each kid. And we're looking at each kid individually and seeing what they need. That doesn't mean that's going to be perfect. We may get to private school and go, oh no, this is not for us. And
Can you stop with your reasonable content? Nobody wants to hear this. They want to hear complaining.
so the
Complaining.
process has been much different than even what I'm used to, because I have been on the side of a teacher at a private school, but I taught at a private school that was in a small town. I grew up in a small town with a private school there as well.
I was
And
born in a small town.
anyways, and the admissions.
I was born in the small town of Rumson, New Jersey. Bruce Springsteen's fame.
Yes.
Of Bruce Springsteen fame.
And you also went to a private high school for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I went to a all-boys private high school for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I'll give my quick rundown. I went to a Catholic kindergarten. I went to 1st through 5th grade in public school, 6th through 8th at a Catholic school, 9th and 10th at an all-boys Jesuit high school, and then 11th and 12th back at the public high school that literally was right across the street from my house.
Right.
And yeah, so we can go through that story one day and all those reasons, but yeah, I've been there.
So in our background in private school is that it wasn't that hard to get into. Not in our towns, in our small towns, right? You applied, you got in.
In New Jersey, I don't know if this is factually true. It feels like it. There are as many Catholic schools as public schools. Like, it's just not a big deal.
In where I was from, you paid the money, you went to the private school. Like, that's just how it worked. It didn't really matter. They didn't deny people. Where we live in Atlanta. There are a handful of private schools here, and they are extremely hard to get into. What we have found is that
nonsense. That's the word I've been told to use.
It feels like we are trying to get into a college. Does it feel like
college would be 1,000 times easier and cheaper? College would be like, seriously, no, college would be a lot easier.
I agree. Yeah.
So we're going through this nonsense process where a 6th grader, or soon to be up, what do you call it? Rising up? Rising up. If they're rising up, that's
rising 6th grader.
Yeah, rising up or rise up is the Falcons slogan. That's where I got that from. So 6th grader, rising 6th grader has to take a SSAT,
which is the middle school version of the SAT. So,
but she's not in middle school yet.
Right. No. So in high school, you take the SAT or the ACT to get a score that helps you qualify for college, to get into colleges around here. And I guess all over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a universal.
So this test, though, is for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders.
Yes.
And we have a 5th grader taking it. So we are, like everyone else who has the financial ability we are doing tutoring and have been for some time to beat the test. Then we can have the income disparity discussion one day about how if you can't have a tutor or testing prep to beat the test, how unfair it is. We recognize that. It's
extremely unfair. And we have talked about that. We went back and forth.
We talk about that as the tutor is here tutoring her.
We do. And we have gone back and forth with, do we just not get a tutor? I mean, there are kids that can't afford a tutor, so they're just going to take the test. No, that has not been what we decided.
No, let's complain about the problem, but perpetuate the problem. That's what we do in this house. Yeah.
We unfortunately, you have to play the game, and that's what we're doing. We're
but
playing
don't you think playing the game is causing the game? I know you haven't watched Squid Game. I'm in season 2. No spoilers, please. But like, just participating in the game, that's we're contributing to the problem. And that's this whole process, which I think is nonsense. It eats me up inside because I don't agree with the process, but I feel like we have to because we want what's best for Charlie. It's this weird, it's not weird, it's this tough.
As a parent, I would play any game necessary to make sure that my kids got what they needed.
Russian roulette.
I would play.
Got you.
I would play any game possible. I would do anything that I needed to do what's best for my kids. And unfortunately, taking this SSAT is what's best for her to get into a school.
We've got to write our own essays.
Yes.
I want my child to go here. This will be a great
Yes.
fit. She is so amazing.
Well, going back to the SSAT, I don't think you mentioned this, is you said this is for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It's a middle school SSAT. She is in 5th grade.
Right.
She hasn't learned half of the items on that test. Not even half, but she hasn't learned more than that. I mean,
It's really hurt me as a parent as well, to see her have all these math problems and me not be prepared for them. Because as she's been learning math, I've also been relearning math because no offense.
not my thing.
Right. So we jumped from 5th grade math.
To now we're doing 8th grade probability problems.
I mean, I can do probability. It's where we got into geometry and the advanced algebra. Like, that's not fair to do to a parent.
Oh, no.
I was in 5th grade, and now you just fast forwarded me ahead to 8th grade. And then most recently, what was it, 2 nights ago, we gave her a test, but that test didn't have an answer sheet. There was no answer key.
Then we had to solve the questions ourselves. Some of them I had to send to my mom, who is a middle school principal, to double check because I am a kindergarten teacher. I do not know this middle school math. And I haven't ever had to use it again. Like, I learned it in school, did fine on the test, but I've never had to use that again. So unfortunately, we're learning again.
If there are 7 yellow balls and 4 blue balls and 3 balls of a different color that they won't tell you, do you have enough information to tell you what the angle is of the triangle that has X, Y on the side and is inside of circle O?
I mean, what?
Yeah. The math is so hard. I'll just say this.
Yep.
The math is so hard, we don't even fight about it. The math is so hard that you don't get mad at me that I don't know it. I don't get mad at you that you don't know it.
We'll save it for the tutor.
Yeah.
The tutor will handle this.
Sucker.
Well, and it's hard for her because this year has been a big jump in general, just because they're trying to get them ready for middle school. She has had more homework than she has ever had. She's had more home projects than she's ever had. She's in orchestra, so she has that practice. And then on top of that,
she's never had homework.
Right.
Yeah, welcome to 2025, people, where these schools don't even get homework. It's turned into homeschooling.
Homework is not necessary.
Is all work in homeschooling homework?
Oh, my goodness. We'll talk about the homework studies in a different podcast.
Well, this wasn't our plan to even talk about this. I don't know. There was some transition. I
specifically said, do not talk about this.
No, you said...
I said you have to be nice.
Yeah, you said don't talk about it. Well, no, that's not right. You wanted to talk about it.
Yes.
And then I said, what am I allowed to say? And you said, we can talk about the process. And I said, can I talk about how it's... And you said, you should call that nonsense. So I've been calling it nonsense. Mm-hmm. And then... You said...
Mine is just dropping the bull words right then.
And then you said that we probably shouldn't talk about it because we're still going through the admissions process and we don't want someone to see this.
Yes. But I think that they also can...
And when you tell me let's not talk about something, the first thing I want to do is talk about it.
Yes.
So that's probably what really happened here.
Yes. We are very hopeful for some of the schools in our area.
I'm so over it. I'm just so over it. It's been it's
been a long process.
Yeah.
She has had a tutor since May.
Well, and then we've had to do us being interviewed. She has to do her being interviewed. She has to do a shadow day. She has to write her own essays. We have to write essays. I mean, like,
teacher
my job is
recommendations.
writing essays. That's like half my job.
Yes.
You want me to write essays? I'll write essays. They're going to be really good. But
we did also I had to upload family pictures.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of nonsense, but this is more fun, enjoyable nonsense.
Yes.
We have a boat, and that boat we use to charter from time to time.
We bought this boat because our honeymoon was on a boat. It was one of the best vacations I've ever been on. It was way different than what I thought in my head.
Well, you got to go before story starts before then.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You were drunk. You don't remember. So we were in Turks and Caicos.
Oh, okay.
We went to Turks and Caicos, Waimara Resort.
Oh.
Use coupon code Rafi for 15% off.
We wish.
We go to Turks and Caicos, just me and you.
We were dating at the time. We weren't married or anything. We weren't engaged at the time either. We were just dating.
But when we were there, we booked our honeymoon.
We took...
You heard that right.
We did a sunset cruise on a catamaran, and it was really fun. And then at this point, we knew we were going to get married. We knew we were going to get married. We knew.
Wow. Way to put the cart in front of the horse.
We knew.
That's the saying, by the way, the cart in front of the horse.
Okay. Well, we knew. We paid for the honeymoon. Like,
yeah, I know. We booked the honeymoon before.
While we were sitting on the beach. We were there.
We were in the, they had a really cool balcony off the room. I think that's
right.
where it was.
That's right. Yeah.
It wasn't like I was bringing the computer on the beach.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm not a loser. Do that up in the room. Yeah, we booked a honeymoon before we got engaged.
Because you knew that you were going to marry me.
That's romance.
That's romance. He had me hooked at that point.
Is that even romance or is that just stupid? I think it's stupid.
No, it's romantic because you knew what you wanted and you went after it.
Why didn't I ask you then? Why didn't I ask you then?
Because you didn't have a ring then.
We eventually get engaged.
Eventually, yes.
I mean, we had limited time because we booked the honeymoon.
we had
to go.
We had a set wedding date.
And then we had to do obviously have a wedding.
The wedding and the honeymoon both came together at the same time because
they weren't. We did them together. They were separate things.
Right, but we planned them together at the same time.
Well,
that was before we were engaged.
Nice.
We planned that in January and we got engaged in February.
Okay.
We actually would have gotten engaged later than February.
Tell me more.
because I said we had booked where we were going to get married. And I said, I'm not going to buy a wedding dress until we're engaged because I didn't want to go and show up without a ring.
This is like the episode of nonsense. Yeah, I remember that.
And you said, well, just go get a wedding dress or you can get one after we get engaged. And I said, well, they take a while for them to get in. And this was also like right around COVID time. Like I was worried about the time frames.
But here we are. So we have the honeymoon booked and the honeymoon is like a week. Yeah, it's like a week on a catamaran with two strangers we don't know, the captain and the crew, the first mate. And it's in the British Virgin Islands.
It was absolutely amazing. I was thinking...
Shout out Mike and Lizzie.
Yes. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was not thinking the boat was going to be as nice. I wasn't thinking... I was thinking we were going to sleep on bunk beds in the rooms. I had no clue.
Why did you agree to it then?
I don't know.
Are you for real? Bunk beds and
I thought that there were going to be
You're watching too much
beds.
Below Deck?
I was thinking Gilligan's Island boat. That was... that was
so
we loved it so much that when we got back,
well, it wasn't even when we got back. So we're in day 6 or something, and I was up on the flybridge, the top of the boat, talking to Mike, the captain, and he says something like, "So you're gonna get one of these?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" It's like when my friend Austin comes over, shows me a watch and goes, "You gonna get one? You looking at any watches?" I'm like, "Oh."
I remember this conversation.
Like, I need to.
I think you both were smoking cigars, having wine.
Smoking cigars was not permitted on that boat, so that totally did not happen. I guess that boat's been sold, so who cares?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay.
But yes. But so he kind of put the seed in your mind at that point. But
it's totally his fault.
But my thought was, no, we cannot buy a boat until we know if our kids will like it.
Yeah, that's right. So then we got married around Thanksgiving time. The girls have a winter break in
February. They were 5 and 8 or 9.
Yeah, and then when we were looking for something to do, I don't know what happened. That week freed up or something, and we were looking for something to do very last minute. And the week before, we looked online at the schedule of Mike and Lizzie's boat, which was the Lady Fiona, and we looked on that. And they just happened to have some dates open. Girls went down, survived, didn't drown, had a great time. We're also very respectful and responsible on the boat, which we expected, but good to see.
I was nervous because Olivia was 5. She was little. And could they swim? Yes. Were they the strongest swimmers? Absolutely no.
They're great pool swimmers.
Oh, yeah. But the ocean is a different scenario.
It's not like they're swimming over the whitecaps in the ocean, the perfect storm where the same wave keeps coming and hitting them. I mean, we're in coves and stuff, but for some reason it feels more dangerous. It's not.
But it was the best vacation. I mean, those memories, I still will go back and look at them.
Second best vacation.
What was the first?
The honeymoon.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Sorry. The second best. I still go back and look at those pictures from that trip because the amount of family time that we got, the quality of family time, and just how happy everyone was. It was amazing. And we wanted to recreate that over and over and over again.
My God.
What?
Do you know earlier this morning when you asked me what I hate about you?
Should I tell them what I hate about
Sure.
you?
Go ahead. And well, let me do my first though, because that whole answer you just gave, that like sounds like we live in like a land with rainbows and butterflies and doves come out. Like, oh God, you make everything so happy. That was the best vacation ever. We did that. And I'm just like, oh.
I think every relationship has one person that's so sweet and happy and just rainbows everywhere. And one person is a cynical jerk, as that other person said.
I'm just trying to get this story going so that we can get to the part where we make fun of people,
sorry.
which is why I'm here.
Okay, yes.
But you're just talking
My
like,
ADHD is
yeah, tell the world how something I do that's extremely respectful at night and tries to make sure that you don't have
you want me to put this on
disturbed beauty
podcast,
rest. I'm just saying, like, I think if we could do a poll, I'd be okay with it. Oh, go ahead. You brought it up.
Yeah. Well, so we've been having a couple of arguments in our house. And when I say arguments, it's just me telling Mike what he should not do. He will pee in the toilet. And
in the middle of the night.
No. Even during the day.
No, in the middle of the night.
It doesn't matter.
In the middle of the night. No, now it's getting weird. It's already weird. It's the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Can you say go to the bathroom and not pee?
Okay, he'll go. Well, then they might think that you're leaving something else.
All right, it's a number 1, not a number 2, definitely not a number 3.
Yeah.
Number 3 is a 1 and a 2 combined. Olivia taught me that.
Okay. All right. So he will go number 1 in the toilet and leave it.
In the middle of the night, correct. So I don't flush the toilet and wake you up.
Women sit on the toilet when they go.
What does that have to do with?
Because your pee is going to splash on me. It's disgusting. And also, I
you're a grown-ass woman. You need to get better at not getting it to splash on you.
I want a clean toilet when I'm going to the bath. It drives me insane.
Anyway, this is one of those things to cut.
Yeah.
So
that is what I hate about you. And I texted him and told him not to do it. And what did you do this morning?
I didn't do it this morning. Well, technically it was this morning. Yeah. I continue to respect you. So anyway, so the girls go on this vacation. Vacation goes well. And then I start looking for a boat. And I don't think you understand how serious I am at that point.
Right. Well, also we were told it takes years to find a boat. Like you kept saying it takes years and years, like
Challenge
2 years
accepted.
To find a boat. And so we get off the boat in February with the girls. I think in May, we flew down for the day to Fort Lauderdale to look at a boat. It had been struck by lightning.
Yep. Glad we didn't get that one.
Glad we didn't get that one.
Well, it had been struck by lightning. It had all been repaired and all that, but it was a brand new boat essentially that just happened to get struck by lightning.
And then our boat came available in June or July.
It was right after that, and we bought it in July. But we went down, looked at the boat, and that boat. Now, here's where we get into the good stuff. The boats we're talking about have to have a crew. And you charter the boat. You rent the boats out from, time to time. We typically rent the boat out somewhere between 10 and 15 weeks or so a year. One of the selling points of the boat that we now have, which used to be named Pink Sky, now named the Olivia Charles. Wells got screwed.
Well, he wasn't around.
He was sort of around. So
the dinghy is named after him, the little boat on the back.
Yeah, that's rude. One of the big selling points of this boat that we ended up getting was that it basically came with a crew. Right. The crew wanted to stay working on the boat. The boat had been doing its thing, and the crew wanted to stay on the boat and continue to work on the boat with whoever the new owner was. And the boat had some charters already scheduled, which is awesome. You get a crew, you have charters, so you get some income going, and you want to use the boat. The boat sitting around doesn't benefit anybody.
Well, and a boat being that size, it's not a super large boat, but it needs a crew. It needs what? I'm just saying it's not like it's not Tiger Woods' yacht down there rolling around. Like,
you have this incredible ability to say something nice and you think is friendly and nice and just kills me inside. And now you drop the boat isn't that large.
Well, so because the reason I said that is because
the boat is 58 feet long.
Yes. Well, people charter them themselves.
Not boats our size.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I
Never
guess
mind.
you could.
You could. And so I was just specifying, like, neither one of us know how to sail the catamaran. We can autopilot, but we cannot do the sails ourselves.
Yeah, for background, when I was a kid, I had a captain's license, worked on a boat,
Right.
but I, at this moment, like I know the general basics of sailing,
Yes.
took sailing classes, took all that, but I want nothing to do with sailing this boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was just specifying that that's why you need a crew.
So we think we are getting a great boat. We did get a great boat, but we think we're getting a charter-ready boat, like think of it as a floating bed and breakfast. You said hotel,
Yeah.
but we thought we were getting a boat that was was ready. So it was a Airbnb or a bed and breakfast that was ready for guests with a great staff.
So it has a kitchen on there. Meals are prepared for you by the chef or the first mate. Majority of the meals are there. Snacks, appetizer, things like that are on the boat. They also, it's like a hotel in the sense that when you leave your room, they come in and they tidy it up for you. They make the bed. So it really is a floating hotel.
We think we're getting this great floating hotel with a great staff. And we meet the crew and everything seems okay, but we don't really know. We meet them for one day.
Right. And they serve a meal to us that was a generic good meal. It was fine.
So then we go down, we buy the boat. We buy the boat and the boat gets laid up for the whole summer.
Yeah, terrible time to buy a boat.
Yeah, don't buy a boat in June or July.
Because then you have to pay for all the repairs and stuff before charter.
Yeah, so we go down then come September or October.
October we went down for the first time that it was in the water, the first week.
And we are down there and it is not what we expected. You are crying.
Well, at this point, I was 6-7 months pregnant. I was in tears. And not only was I in tears because of that.
In private. Tears in private.
In private, yeah. To you.
Why did we buy this boat?
I did. But
why did we buy this boat?
It wasn't just because of the AC.
Wait, you said at one point, you go, I thought it would be a floating hotel.
I did. I kept comparing it to our honeymoon boat because it was the same style boat. I wasn't just the air conditioning, it also was the food. So the first mate was not a trained chef, was not.
You've never seen the Firefest documentary, have you?
I have, yeah.
Do you remember the picture of the cheese sandwich in the styrofoam box? That's what this was. We ate tacos one time while we were there with them, and the taco shells hadn't been cooked.
So they were from a box taco kit, which we use in this house. That's completely fine.
You don't use on a charter boat like that, though. But go ahead.
You don't when you're people pay a lot of money for a week on a boat like that, and it has to be top notch. And that's what I kept saying is we can't expect people to pay money to charter for this. But so she used a box kit for tacos, and the tacos are supposed to be heated up in the oven. They were not heated up in the oven, so they were
I looked at you. I looked at you. It's like we got to do something. So we get off the boat. We literally when I say we get off, we pack our stuff and it's time for us to go.
This is after a week of me crying and being very pregnant and saying we can't do this. We made a terrible
but they
mistake.
solved the problem for us.
They did. That's
so,
right.
So we get off the boat. We have luggage. We're walking down the dock. And
to get in a
cab to go to the airport. And
we get
an email from her who says,
her is the first mate.
Yes.
She was the girlfriend of the captain.
Yeah,
which should have been a red flag there.
Why? That's what all these crews are.
Because they had only been together since March.
Hello, Pot.
Well, they weren't planning.
Meet the kettle.
They weren't planning their honeymoon and wedding.
I heard they planned that before they got engaged.
Oh my
Do you believe that?
Okay.
But we get off the boat and it's like 7 steps. Like she had this email ready to go, and the email is basically, I'm going to leave the boat. I'm giving you my notice. I think she wrote me and the captain. I'm saying captain instead of his name. Me and the captain.
She said the captain. Up. She didn't say his name. She was very cold towards him.
Yeah. She said basically they broke up. She wants off the boat.
Yeah.
And we were like, yeah. If you guys break up, you should get off the boat. I don't.
Well, because.
But they had to sail somewhere for her to get off the boat.
Well, and the reason is because the crew on our boat have to share a room, and it is not bunk beds. It is
when it's full. When the boat is full,
yes.
They do. I mean, obviously they don't when nobody's on it, they can sleep wherever they want.
Yeah. But so their room has a queen size bed in it that they have to share. And that's just the style on our boat. Some boats have bunk beds. But so, yes, that was very awkward for them to stay on that boat while she was very clearly mad at him.
Yeah. So there we had charters scheduled. The season starts basically Thanksgiving time. So it's October. We have charters scheduled.
In December, I think, is when they started.
Yeah. And we don't have a crew at this point. And Captain wants to stay on. I'm going to be honest. Charlie was in love with him. And I was like, we got to get a different, if we're going to do this, we're going to get a new captain. But we also wanted, you can make fun of Charlie in a second. We also wanted a husband and wife or a long-time couple.
Yes.
Because that just made us feel
stability.
Better. Here, wait, what was Charlie like with the captain?
She would say, we would tell her to do something and she wouldn't do it. And then he would suggest doing the same thing and she'd go, whatever Mr. Captain says. But she would say his name and Mike and I both were like, oh.
What is going on?
That was her first crush. That was really her first 9-year-old Charlie crush.
Yeah, we will never see
Bless
that man again.
heart.
Ever.
Oh my God.
Ever. So we then call Mike and Lizzie, the people that were the crew on the boat of our honeymoon. And we're like, what do we do here?
Yes.
We need a new crew. And they say, meet Tommy and Emma.
Yes.
And Tommy and Emma, our current crew, we interview them sitting right there on Zoom. They interview us. We had dogs and kids yelling. And I remember we got off the Zoom of the interview of us being like, or me saying at least, I don't know. Do you think they think we're crazy? And they apparently had the same reaction too. What the?
Well, and I think I said, they sent over kind of what they were wanting, like when we were negotiating. And I was like, give them whatever they want. I want them. I love them. They
as soon as Emma sent a brochure, that was weird. I just made that kind of like a little French sounding brochure. I don't know. But as soon as she sent over her pictures of her food and you saw her Instagram, I remember we were talking to them and you got your phone up and you're elbowing me being like, look at this. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Wow, that looks great. And then, but it was all her food.
Yes.
So they've been on the boat now, and we're in a new charter season. We went down a couple times this year, and we had our first charter like a month ago. That one went out. That charter was people who were Olympic sailors.
Yes, from like the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, and so we had a guy on the boat in that group who was and we hear these stories from the crew. So they're on charter and they'll like text or call us and be like, hey, we got some funny stories to share. And that one, they had a guy who was very political and thought everyone agreed with him. And Tommy and Emma are British.
Yeah.
So their politics are very
different.
They just don't really care that much about U.S. politics.
Well, why should they?
And they live and work on a boat. Yeah, they live and work on a boat in the British Virgin Islands, the Caribbean. For the most part, whatever's happening in our country doesn't directly affect them on a daily basis. So we had somebody who was very political on the boat and kept assuming Tommy agreed with everything that he said. So Tommy was telling us that stories, but
Did you remember we also at one point had another lawyer on the boat?
Yeah, he was looking me up.
And he was looking you up and he left a koozie with his lawyer information on our boat purposely.
Yeah, I threw that in the water. Yeah, that's what I did there. He was from Dallas or Houston or something. But
that's hilarious.
Yeah, because nobody knows. Like when you go on the boat, you wouldn't know we own it.
No, because the crew's very respectful of us.
I used to sign the contracts though. When people want to charter the boat, I used to sign the contracts. Now we don't, partly for this reason. But back then, people would look up stuff about us, and but now it's the reverse. Now when someone comes on the boat, we know who's coming on, and we can look them up.
Yep. And they don't know who we are.
This past week, we had a winner of Miss USA, not the actual competition, but she won her state.
Right.
This person won her state.
Yeah.
And I was looking at her.
Probably shouldn't say her state.
Yeah, it's a weird state.
She won in 2004, though.
I didn't even know that. Do you know what goes on in her state?
What?
A lot of homeschooling, for sure. It's a big homeschool state, without a doubt. It's also a state that hasn't expanded Medicare, but just getting into the politics thing. So we get a picture from Tommy or Emma or maybe it was just a text or something about, we've got some funny stories to share.
Yes.
And then suddenly on the boat's Instagram, we get a ton of people that add the boat, which like the boat's followed by like 100 people. And it's all boat people, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not anybody else. It's
all
boat and
people
our friends.
us. Yeah.
So we are able to figure out from that who is on the boat. We didn't even think to look before then.
No.
It wasn't like we said, let's see who's going on.
Well,
we just saw these people and it was very obvious. And then Miss whatever state is treating our boat like she is a model and, standing on the bow.
Well, and anytime our boat is tagged in a photo of it that's halfway decent, they just reshare it because, it is technically a business and we're trying to show...
Yes, IRS, it is a business. It is not for personal use. Totally a business.
We're trying to show, other brokers, fun things that people can do on our boat so that they will promote our boat as well.
You can stand on the bow, let the wind go in your hair and hold up your wrist and then say coupon code like to know it. My bracelet is on sale now. That's literally what was going on in her boat.
Or what was it? She had it was a bathrobe, but it just had like the fuzzy, like it was a silky bathrobe with the fuzzy arms. You know what though? I am glad that she enjoyed it. And that's just not who we are. We're usually in t-shirts and shorts. And
she was in the same post. She was tagging like Marshalls or Home Goods and like Gucci. And I'm like, those don't go together, lady. You're like, that doesn't work. By the way, when we go to the boat, I bring the cheapest crap I can find, the oldest stuff. If we're going for 7 days, I bring 7 old t-shirts, 2 pairs of shorts, and a bathing suit. And that's it. And this lady, I think, brought the entire, designer section of her closet or some crap.
To each is their own. We are just not.
Are you going to, come on, talk some here.
Well,
come on.
That's just not my style. I am like the girl next door, very just like.
The girl next door doesn't say she's the girl next door. You can't say that.
Yes, I can.
So, yeah.
It's just not my style. And so she was very flamboyant. Is that a good word to use?
Yeah. Extravagant.
What did we say? There were like 17 posts from her like posing on our boat?
49. Not a joke. 49. Can you imagine if these people, if who's ever watching this, go to my Instagram and it says best eyes class of 2000 St. James Elementary School. Like that's that. This is her identity. It just killed me. You've got 4 kids or some God knows number of kids. There were 6 kids on the boat. I don't know how many were theirs.
So 4 were hers, and then they had brought 2 others, and they were all boys. And I just was like,
what did we get Emma and Tommy for Christmas?
We got them T-shirts that said, "I'll just have the chicken tenders."
And why did we do that?
Because so before people go on the boat, Tommy and Emma, the crew, will call them and have kind of a conversation like a week or 2 before and just say, go through like food preferences. It's important to know allergies. It's important to know things that you don't like, because if they're cooking for you and you don't like spicy food, they shouldn't be cooking spicy food for you.
Or if you're like, hey, I'm lactose intolerant.
Exactly.
That's a big deal, and they've got to figure that out. Or no peanut allergies. That we had to do a special cleaning to get any sort of peanuts off the boat. Bad place to have an allergy in the middle of the ocean. So
these people that came on, the mom and dad, said one of our kids will probably just eat chicken tenders. And a boat is small. There's not a lot of storage rooms. Yeah. There's not a lot of freezer space. So Emma was very concerned with...
She didn't know if they were kidding. Was it like, oh, my kids will just eat chicken fingers. I'm sure you have them in the freezer. No, we don't.
Yeah, like we don't just carry around. There's not frozen dinosaur chicken nuggets or anything in the freezer.
Yeah, 3 days before guests get on, there is nothing essentially to eat on the boat, for anyone else except crew. So it is all bought specifically for them. And there was a while there that Emma and Tom were like, should we really get this kid chicken fingers every night and fries?
We just said when you call them, just ask them and
see if they're being serious. I know that they did chicken fingers at least once. I haven't gotten the full update. The people just got off the boat. We let the crew then sleep for a day or 2, and they get the people off the boat. They then do a turnaround, clean the boat, do everything. They do that right away, and then they rest. Yeah. So we try to leave them alone.
It was really nice, though, to see their pictures, because even though the mom had a lot of pictures of her posing and using it as like
see what she's up to now.
Instagram post, um, the kids had a really good time. And that's always refreshing to me because it's something that we love and kind of hold dear to our heart that I really enjoy um, getting to see other people enjoy it as much as we do.
So if you want to go on a boat for a vacation and then later get made fun of in a podcast, it's a unique experience that no one else offers in the world. Come on, the
We're
Olivia
not
Charles.
making fun of her.
Look, if we get an email from her one day that's like, hey, you talk shit about us, I will be like, I'm impressed that you made it to episode 6 of our podcast about you where we didn't say your name.
We'll send her like a bottle of wine or something.
Sure. I'm happy to do that.
Thanks for letting us. I didn't talk poorly about
Send her some Louis Vuitton chocolate.
Only if you send me some.
No. So stupid.
It's
so
really
stupid.
Cool.
Owning a boat, I will say, as a lawyer, is also tough for 2 reasons. One, the boat is another job. Like we're joking about it, and we said all the good things, obviously, but like it is a completely separate business that we do run throughout the entire year.
Yes.
And I'm constantly worried about guests being hurt and suing us.
Yes.
Constantly worried about that.
Well, we're very fortunate that our crew, I think, they are some of the best because the safety briefs, Tommy is so cautious and makes sure that everybody is having fun, but make sure that they're doing it safely.
I think I'm a very worst case person.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy's like me on some drug there we go. Yeah. I mean, like he is worst case.
Right. But he does it in a way where you still enjoy yourself, but you're safe. And that was one of our big concerns with the first crew that we had is that we didn't know that they were experienced enough to make sure that people were having fun, but also being safe. It's really, you have to trust somebody, and we trust Tommy and Emma immensely with.
Yeah, because they're our age. I think the other crew was 10 years younger or something than us.
Yeah.
When especially when we have kids on the boat, I am in the back of my mind the whole time they're on the boat, I am worried that somebody's going to get hurt because we've got sea scooters, we've got e-foils and wings and, that they all use. And I'm always worried somebody's going to get hurt and I'm going to be sued in the British Virgin Islands. The fun fact is there's a thing called a forum selection clause. Do you know what that is?
No, I have never even heard this before.
So forum is where the lawsuit happens.
Okay.
So if you think like you have choice of laws is what law applies. So like I could write a contract right now and we could have a choice of law that says, I don't know, pick a state. Iowa's laws are going to apply. So similar to that, you can also do a choice of forum. And the forum can be anywhere. I mean, as long as with some limits, I mean, it can be anywhere as long as you have some connection there. So like the cruise ships for a long time used to screw people over because they would say, hey, this cruise ship is based out of wherever. And if you're in a cruise in Florida and you get hurt, you got to sue us in Hawaii. And that's very expensive for people and it's very difficult for people, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Typically, there has to be some link between them. When we first got the boat, the contract had BVI laws and the forum selection, the place where if you had to sue about the boat, it was Malta. You know anything about Malta?
I don't even know where that is.
Beautiful. It's like the boating capital of the world. It's like really? Monaco on water. It's amazing. It's not, I say Monaco. Monaco's, fancy and nice.
Yeah.
Malta's very nice, but it's like, I mean, it's not Monaco. But anyway, it's really, really nice. Right now, our forum selection clause is the BVI because I think that's what you should have. If you're going to get hurt on the boat, you're going to be in the BVI. You should have to sue us there. So part of me hopes we get a frivolous lawsuit filed against us. So I have to go be in a trial in the BVI. It would be tough for all of us, but I would survive.
Do you remember when we went down on our honeymoon? Somebody was telling us there was a lawyer on
St. Thomas.
Yes. You fly into St. Thomas and you take a water taxi to the boat in the BVI.
Or if you fly US Air, you would fly into the BVI right away.
Yeah. You could do that.
Just in case you're considering booking. So we do Atlanta to St. Thomas to water taxi. Other people do basically through Miami to the BVI and the boat literally our boat picks you up, essentially.
But there were all these signs about this personal injury lawyer. And I was like, oh, is that the lawyer? And I think he was the only lawyer on the St. Thomas Island. And he had recently died. He had passed away. So I'm currently trying to get you to.
I already know.
How do you get your license down there? I already know
3 people that are St. Thomas.
Oh, really? They just don't live there. This guy lived there.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who lives there. They found the guy floating. I mean, like, that's how he passed away. That's why it was news of the town.
Oh,
of the island.
Yeah.
But I know like 3 people that are barred in St. Thomas, and I don't want to be going to the Caribbean to do work.
Okay.
That would just ruin it.
That's fair.
Unless I get sued. The boat got a new dinghy this week, and I tried really hard to go down there and christen it. But that didn't seem to fly in this house. Hey, you stay here with 3 kids. 2 of them are sick at all times. I'll be back in 3 days. I'm going to go bang a bottle of champagne on the boat.
Send you a picture.
Yeah. I heard another complaint actually about my endings yesterday. I held a meeting, I guess, yesterday about how, what can we do to maybe get a little more efficient, make some more content, which, it was a fair, open-ended question. Hey, what can we do? But really, that's me saying, like, we got to make some more content, people, right?
Chop. It can't just be me.
By the way, you said chop. Going back to Charlie from the beginning of this podcast and her applying to schools, she did a practice interview. And in the practice interview, they asked her, in a group project, what kind of person are you? And she goes, I'm the chop, let's get it done person. I'm like, I don't know if you should say that in an interview, and they loved it. But anyway, that's where she gets it from, apparently.
From you.
From me. I'm not a chop, let's get it done.
She may not biologically be yours, but her mannerisms are to a T you.
I don't know about that. So anyway, we're having this meeting, and I say to everyone, like, what would make the process better, faster for how we make these videos? And somebody says, all power to him for bringing this up. He goes, when you're making your videos, the short videos, if you could really, give an ending to every video. And I said, okay, awesome. I listened to some of his other thoughts, and I said, so, the 2 things you want me to do are this and this. He goes, yeah. And I said, well, I can't do the first. I'm not going to do the first one. I cannot find an ending to the video because that's just not how we make them.
Yeah.
But he was criticizing that in all the videos that he edits, and criticize is too harsh a word. He was saying that his job would be easier if I came to an ending, like a summary conclusion sentence in every video that I do every day. And I told him the ending is at the beginning. 99% of the time, the thing we end with is how we started. And it just happens like that. So let's insert something right now that we said earlier in the podcast, and we'll end that way. All right, it's a number 1, not a number 2, definitely not a number 3.